want to hear yourself afterwards?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I did.
Well,
in
then
fact,
you gotta have volume.
I fucked up one video that Caleb and I worked on a couple years ago. We did Sorry to Bother You, and the first take we did was perfect. Mm-hmm. And then it turns out the volume wasn't high enough.
Well, that was an intro, folks.
So we had to do it all over again.
Is that your intro, or are we just jumping into
You know what? I might as well keep it in there just to make sure that people are still watching from this point. Yeah, exactly.
What are we doing today?
Well, let's officially kick this off. What's going on, guys? I'm Tyler.
I'm Banter Man, Josh.
That's a good movie
Banter
fight.
Man.
That's a really
good
movie.
I'm gonna have my own theme song one of these days. Just give me a second. I'll just, Anyway, what are we talking about?
I am here to let you know, and you know, that Shadow in the Cloud is
a perfect movie?
No, not even close.
I've heard good things.
Yeah, and I'm very confused by that, but hey, to each his own. Anyways, Shadow in the Cloud takes place in World War II, where a New Zealand flight officer, played by Chloë Grace Moretz, is arriving on this airship with a mysterious package. And during the midst of a dogfight between her forces and the Japanese, it turns out there's also a gremlin on board the plane. And because she's the only woman on the plane, and because nobody else believes in gremlins, they of course don't believe her until shit really, really gets out of hand. At least by their standards. And I wanted to check this out just because it sounded like a neat enough concept. It had that low-budget exploitation thing where they were mixing action, war, and horror together. I don't know if they can read that from here. What is that?
Gremlins.
I'm
still stuck on the fact that you said there are gremlins in World War II.
Well,
I'm sorry. That's a thing?
Well, here's the thing. Like, you remember that Twilight Zone episode where William Shatner sees the gremlin on the plane and nobody else believes him?
Oh.
Yeah, that type of gremlin.
Okay.
The superstition stuff that Air Force officers would talk about, or some shit like that. I don't remember off the bat. But yeah, I remember that concept from the William Shatner Twilight Zone episode because I had an English teacher who loved Twilight Zone and showed us a couple episodes in school just as an example, because some of them were based on short stories. And I also remember from the Twilight Zone movie when they remade some of the shorts.
The one in 85?
Yes.
Okay.
That George Miller redid that episode with John Lithgow replacing William Shatner, and that was probably one of the highlights of that movie. That and Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks at the beginning. That was
so. My other questions are on this: can Chloë Grace Moretz do New Zealand accent? Is it good?
Surprisingly, she could. The best thing I can say about this movie is that Chloë Grace Moretz is as good as always. She does nail the accent. She does have that cocky, smart-ass attitude, especially given the situation that she's in, where she's the only woman on the plane and everybody's giving her such a hard time right from the get-go. I've got a lot more to say about that later on.
So let's just continue on to that, because I'm thinking about gremlins here. You go ahead and say things.
Speaking of the Twilight Zone movie, most people remember the Twilight Zone movie for the way Vic Morrow and a couple other child actors tragically passed away.
Yep, that's why I remember it.
Because John Landis, the director of that short, who also directed The Blues Brothers and American Werewolf in London, had very piss-poor work coordination, and long story short, a helicopter landed on those three actors.
Ouch.
Yeah. And speaking of piss-poor work conditions, let's talk about John Landis' son, Max Landis, the original writer of this movie.
Oh my goodness, he wrote Dredd.
Max Landis wrote Dredd?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. He worked on that movie.
Are you sure that's Alex Garland you're talking about?
Oh, I thought that guy did Dredd. Max Landis has the crazy hair, right?
Yeah.
I know that guy. He seems totally amazingly something, and I appreciate whatever it is he is, because he's fully confidently him.
I think he's full of shit for that exact same reason, but yeah, in light of certain allegations against him, this movie
I didn't know nothing about that.
It's been out for like years.
I just saw him on a clip once, that was it, and he seemed very weird.
Oh, okay.
That's all I know. I've seen maybe 30 seconds of this man talk.
I've seen a hell of a lot more than that, and I went back and forth from liking and respecting to absolutely hating his
He wrote
guts.
that Castlevania show on Netflix.
Did he really?
Yeah.
The only thing of his I've actually seen was American Ultra and parts of Victor Frankenstein or
Victor Frank.
whatever that Daniel
I
Radcliffe
like American
McAvoy.
Ultra. That's a great movie.
Yeah, you know what? It's
I
not
enjoyed
bad.
it immensely.
But in light of certain allegations against Max Landis, this movie got heavily rewritten by the director, Roseanne Liang.
Okay.
And allegedly, Moretz was involved in some of the rewrites. It happened a hell of a lot more than once. And it's painfully obvious what stuff was rewritten and what stuff was originally there. Especially the opening 5 minutes, which is this cartoon PSA that satirizes the way World War II soldiers were recruited into combat and also says... And remember, gremlins are only superstition. It's human beings' fault
So-
whenever your airplane malfunctions.
They rewrote Gremlins into the movie, is what you're saying.
In a sense. One thing that I can also tell was definitely Max Landis' thing, because he always likes to mishmash certain genres. The way the action sequences in the climax of the movie in this World War II action horror movie have 2010's shitty dubstep music.
Dubstep. Let's move on from that, shall we?
Absolutely. Because for the first 5 minutes or so, I was actually on board with this movie. The World War II PSA I thought was very funny. I like the way that they build up Chloë Grace Moretz as a character by never actually showing her face. Whenever she's in frame, the camera cuts off right about here, and they're just building up her actions, setting up just how mysterious and badass she's supposed to be. Cause,
I mean, Chloë Grace Moretz is badass, so this is a fact.
She absolutely
This is a fact.
And the 70s/80s rock music that was shoved in there actually did kind of help build up the momentum. And then as soon as she boards this plane, which has a skank painted onto it, which really sets the tone for the movie, it turned into the 2020 version of Black Christmas.
I missed that movie.
For very good reason.
What is that movie about?
Well,
Is it about Gremlins? Because Gremlins is a Christmas movie. Right?
That would have been a hell of a lot more entertaining.
Don't feed the gremlin and there's a Christmas tree. So it's Christmas related now, you know? So
all of this
cool with that.
All of this sounds a hell of a lot better. But for those who somehow missed it, the 2019 Black Christmas was basically a kind of sort of reboot of the original. It has absolutely nothing to do with the original. It's not about
the original.
It's not about a serial killer hiding in a college dorm. It is about a misogynistic cult that exists within this school that is targeting the female students.
But cults could be fun. Is this a fun cult, Tyler?
Well, it should have been a fun cult. It was led by Carrie Elways.
Yeah, that should be a fun cult. That should be the As You Wish cult.
That should have been. Instead, it was 90% Twitter arguments over whether or not all men have power.
So we're dealing with the Circle here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my goodness, I hate the Circle.
Oh, you know what? It was even...
I saw that in theaters.
It was...
I wanted to walk out so bad.
So did I.
So bad. I was like, Emma Watson, go make Bling Ring 2.
Tom Hanks, do something better.
Anything. Make Cloud Atlas 7.
Go be Mr. Rogers. You're great at it.
Go be Miss Frizzle. I don't care. Just do anything else. Anything else. So the cult likes to tweet at each other and they're angry.
No, it's just absolutely nothing but pointing out how women are just as equally as good as men. You know how we got like those hammered in feminist vibes from watching the Enola Holmes trailer?
Yeah.
The Black Christmas remake was absolutely nothing but that throughout the entire movie. That and really cheap Blumhouse jump scares because it was a Blumhouse.
It's a Blumhouse? Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Chloë Grace Moretz has wanted to do things that are a little different. She's trying to take a departure in her career, so it makes sense that she would take a more artsy sort of thing.
And I will say this, Shadow in the Cloud is nowhere near as bad as Black Christmas because it does have more of a visual style. I appreciate the fact that most of the movie is just Chloë Grace Moretz stuck in this cockpit. She can only talk to the men through the radio. There are a lot of tense arguments because you can't really see the other actors as they're talking. You can only see from inside the cockpit or through the window when she's trying to take care of the gremlin. All of those things would be great if this movie didn't ham-fist the message in about how women are constantly mistreated for all the wrong reasons, how they're equally important, which a lot of people are going to give me the, well, not everyone's as smart as you, some people need to know bullshit, which I hate that argument.
If we have to tell you you have to treat women as equals in 2020, you're probably an idiot. Sorry.
Yeah, here's my problem with this logic. Do you honestly think that sexist men who don't think women are equal to them are going to go see a female-centered movie where there is only one girl and she's the main character?
They might get dragged by their girlfriends and or wives.
Yeah, but really, what are the chances of that? Maybe
1 in 50.
Unless you're Ryan Seacrest, that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Who would everyone? I had to figure out who Ryan Seacrest is. Moving on.
But here, yeah, that's the thing. Like, if sexist men are going to avoid the movie because it is female-centered, and all the female audiences already know how strong and independent they are, what exactly is the point of making this movie other than validating someone's own opinion? That is not a reason you should go see a movie. You should go see a movie because the story, characters, direction, everything are equally important. Not the message being up here and everything else being down here. It's just... It is pointless. I would rather see...
Ethan Hawke and the writers of First Reformed. We realize the environment needs saving, but you don't have to take half an hour to tell us that in a pointless expose that does nothing to do with the story. We realize you like trees, rivers, and streams. Please don't tell us that for half an hour. Continue, Tyler.
You know what? Thanks for... You know what? I still want to... I'm not going to lie. I still want to see First Reformed.
Oh, everything's great after... Look at us. Save the environment for half an hour. Stop. We get it. We get it.
So wait, are you telling me to skip the first half hour?
Skip the first half an hour.
Okay.
Wait till the environmentalist dude is gone and then just watch Ethan Hawke act the hell out of a movie.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
That's what I would say.
But yeah, like, here's the thing. I know for a fact that women are just as good as we are at everything. Maybe even more so sometimes. And again, like, just because I already know... Just because there are some people who don't know that and I do, does not automatically mean you have to beat the living hell out of us with the message. Mm-hmm. Chris Stuckman summed up Black Christmas very nicely. That it was as subtle as a sledgehammer to the face.
That's pretty subtle if you ask me.
This is more subtle as a fist because, as I said, the visual style, the performances are better. Like, and the gremlin motion capture effects for the budget that they had were actually really decent. I'm not kidding. This movie ends with, like, a fist fight between her and the gremlin. I'm not going to explain how.
I really want to see that part of the movie.
And she's got, like, and her uniform is completely ripped to shreds, and it's clear as day that they're trying to market her as Ripley, basically. Which also got on my nerves. And here's the thing, like, I would be okay with this movie if the action and the horror was done well. And the horror is claustrophobic when they're building up how trapped she is inside of this cockpit and all she has are 2 guns and there's that whole thing where you might accidentally shoot your own plane.
Sometimes all you have is Mark Wahlberg and Denzel Washington, people.
Yeah, I guess so. And here's the thing, like, what I don't understand is you already have a gremlin as, like, the action/horror thing tearing the plane apart. And then... there are, like, Japanese Air Forces out to attack them, and there are so many things going on. And I get that you're trying to make it more chaotic for the characters, but it's a little more chaotic for the audience, too, because there's just so much going on, so much that didn't really need to be there. And one more thing about the message, without spoiling anything, they kind of fuck it up, because as soon as... well, here's the thing. When Moretz actually gets on the plane... all the guys look at her and just assume that she's lying to get on board. She has papers and documents to verify that she's on a mission. And then, without spoiling it, halfway through, it turns out she lied about the majority of this stuff already and accidentally made them right. I will say this, like, they give reasons as to why she would lie her way through it as more of a life or death survival thing, but at the exact same time... You basically gave them a reason to hate just about everyone because you fucked up and went through this plan that makes absolutely zero sense. There was no way in hell that she was going to pull this plan off 100%. There was just absolutely no way.
Can we get Harrison Ford to get a cameo and say, "Get off my plane," and kick someone off a plane. Is that possible to get that in this movie? Because I would like that very much.
Well, you know what? Chloë Grace Moretz at one point is like climbing on the outside of the plane and gets boosted by the jet into the door.
Okay.
There are the action in this movie is so far-fetched that I can't take it seriously, and the fact that you try to take yourself seriously with the feminist message, and yet you have this low-budget B-movie action horror thing, it doesn't really mesh together. There are directors who can mesh exploitation and good messages in there, like Robert Rodriguez or S. Craig Zahler. But Roseanne Liang, who is a talented director, this isn't in her wheelhouse, at least as far as I'm concerned. This is the only movie of hers that I've seen, and I acknowledge that there are very good traits about her. I just don't think action and, as I said before, hip-hop and dubstep music in a World War II movie, it just doesn't work.
What is it, like a remix of I'll Be Seeing You or something?
I couldn't remember what the music was. The only thing I could pay attention to was Moretz trying to navigate her way through this plane, and the fact that one of the sexists who turns into a nice guy at the very end is Nick Robinson from Love, Simon. Because I just sat there and I'm like, who are you? And I'm just like, Nick Robinson, and I type, oh, Simon, okay.
On a scale of Fifth Wave to Kick-Ass, where would you put this?
It's not as boring as Fifth Wave, just because that hammered-in message makes you constantly aware of everything that's going on. Especially because they talk about absolutely nothing else throughout this entire movie, so again, you're treating your audience like they're complete and utter morons. Even though the complete and utter morons you're criticizing are not going to watch this movie unless they're protesting it, unless they're part of that fucking men's rights thing that Joe Rogan tore
you would
apart.
say there is a perfect movie if you were sarcastic.
Yeah, that would be the case.
Yeah, all right.
I don't hate this movie as much as Black Christmas, as I said before, because there's actually good direction. There was an attempt to make something fresh and new with the stylistic mishmash of genres, and the performances technically aren't bad. It's just painfully obvious. It's preachy as hell. The only way I can see this winning Midnight Madness is because the other Midnight Madness movies were not that crazy or not enough people voted. Because I gotta be completely honest, I forgot to vote this year, and yet the movies I was going to vote for, Nomadland and One Night in Miami, Nomadland won first place and One Night in Miami took second. So it all worked out in the end.
Fair enough. So yeah,
for all those reasons, I'm going to give Shadow in the Cloud a 1.5 out of 5.
I'm going to give this I've never watched this, but if I did, I would watch it upside down on the couch while drinking a hat of wine.
Well, it's an hour and 20 minutes, so you're going to have a very good time with that.
It's a great hat of wine.
Look,
I want a wine hat. Let me know where to buy them, people.
Look, if you want a good female empowerment movie, wait for Nomadland to come out in December. That will be 100% worth it.
Is that December? We have to wait that long? That's sad.
It said December on the poster. Well, you guys already announced that you're playing Nomadland.
Well, I don't know when. I'm worried about this week.
But yeah, like, go watch Nomadland. Go watch Birds of Prey. That has more consistent messages than this movie does.
Or go watch The Miseducation of Cameron Post. Chloë Grace Moretz, probably greatest performance in her career. Fantastic performance.
Really? I would not expect that from a Kick-Ass.
No. This is The Miseducation of Cameron Post. It's pretty much Boy Erased, but like the good version.
I like Boy Erased.
Yeah, but this one's better than Boy Erased. They both came out around the same time. Boy Erased and Miseducation of Cameron Post came out at the same time. Same talk-it, same deal, just less stars in this one. Or Skate Kitchen with Chloë Grace Moretz. Great film, Skate Kitchen.
As long as you're not plugging If I Stay, that's totally fine.
Really like that movie. That is a guilty pleasure.
It's a YA version of Ghost.
Yeah, I like it anyway.
Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching this review, despite the fact that the majority of you are probably about to comment on my video saying sexist pig, but...
Also, I know nothing. That's a thing.
Yeah, you're completely
I'm just
safe
Jon
on this
Snow
one.
in this situation. I finally finished Game of Thrones. You'll be happy to know.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Start Dark Materials at one point, would you?
I'm going to do that. I've
Good.
binge watching Mork and Mindy because Nanu.
Anyways, thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for joining me on this. I put the link to the Chloë Grace Moretz fan club in the description below. Sharp Edge Cinematics. He does...
I am the fan club.
Yes. He does reaction videos to his own short films. I join him on some top 5 or top 6 lists, along with some reactions of other stuff, including Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, y'all are going to get to see that.
Look for that link in the comments in the description below. That'll be one
Look
hell
for
of a
my
video.
new short film that does not have a title yet about cool things. It's coming. It has to do with a typewriter and a woman writing her own eulogy, and it's really neat. So, Shazbot.
That actually does sound pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I like it.
In any case, guys, be sure to let us know in the comments what you thought of Shadow in the Cloud if you actually saw it at TIFF. Or if you're just watching it whenever this came out and hate my guts. Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Be sure to stay tuned for more reviews, and be sure to like and subscribe.
Remember,
Take care.
If you hate guts, they're probably good for organ harvesting.
Ew.